Hi, friends. Welcome to M2 Holistic Studio. So, today we're going to be talking about this kind of controversial topic. First and foremost, I want to introduce myself. My name is Maria Carolina, or you could say MC. I am MC from M2 Holistic Studio. I'm one of the directors here. And I've been walking this path of knowing myself since a very young age. Let's put it that way. Our studio, if you're new, covers three basic premises. One is holistic architecture. We're also architectural designers, architects, and professionals in the area. And we are creative individuals, so we have holistic architectural projects, creative projects, and we also have therapies here in our studio. So whenever we post a video, it might be of one of these three things. We're looking forward to diving deep about the subject of the day. Welcome, friends, as we dive deep today in the unspoken world of shamans and ayahuasca. Today, you will explore with us aspects of the human mind, the ancient use of psychedelics, all in the search for well-being, personal betterment, and truth. This video is not created to cause harm or ill fate towards anyone. We respect all walks of life and would like to remind you to be respectful towards us as we share sensitive information with you. Please like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this. It has been a relentless quest to find the truths of our origins as human species. We have created systems of faith, economy, morals, and systems of government, all to represent an established order amongst our species. Yet, what can divide us as a species can oftentimes unite us in our existential quest for truth. That is why today we embark to the ancient lands less frequently researched, the Amazons.
The Amazon is a colossal mystery, and it's one of the subjects that I explore in depth before. First of all, to give some basic figures, the Amazon basin is huge. The Amazon basin is 7 million square kilometers in area. And within it, 5.5 million square kilometers remains almost entirely unstudied by archaeologists. And that's the 5.5 million square kilometers that is still covered by dense rainforest. And to put that into perspective, 5.5 million square kilometers is the size of the entire Indian subcontinent. So it's like saying, we've done world archaeology, but we've just ignored India. You know, we've done world archaeology, but we've just ignored the Amazon. It's the same argument. 5.5 million square kilometers. The view was, again, there was a dogma. There was a preconception. Human beings couldn't have flourished in the Amazon. It's not a resource-rich area. The soils are poor. It's a difficult area, challenging to get to, very far from the Bering Straits. So the view was that humans hadn't entered the Amazon until about 1,000 years ago. And then gradually, little by little, that view has begun to change. And it's begun to change because of the tragic clearances of the Amazon, because the Amazon rainforest is literally being cut down and turned into soybean farms and cattle ranches. And in that cutting down process has emerged things that shouldn't be there at all. For example, evidence that large cities flourished in the Amazon. Enormous cities, which were larger there was a Spanish explorer who went down the Amazon River system in 1541 to 1542. He was the first European to cross the entire length of South America from west to east along the Amazon. He reported seeing incredible cities, advanced arts and crafts, millions of people, a thriving culture. And 100 years later, when other Europeans got into the Amazon, they couldn't find these cities. So they said, oh, Francisco Orellana, that was his name, made it all up. It was just a fantasy. And then in the last decade, as the clearances of the Amazon have proceeded, we've begun to see the traces of those cities. What happened was that the Spaniards brought smallpox into the Amazon. Smallpox devastated the local population because there was no immunity to it. There was a massive die-off. The cities were deserted. Within 50 years, they were completely overgrown by the jungle, and that's why they were not seen by the explorers who came in 100 years later. But now the jungle's being cleared, those cities are emerging, and we can say that a city like London, which had a population of roughly 50,000 in the 16th century, there were cities of that size all over the Amazon. Wow. Huge numbers of them. And a possible total population of the Amazon that exceeded 20 million people. What? Yes, 20 million. This is the latest evidence from the Amazon. And then you ask yourself, how did they do that? How did they feed 20 million people in the Amazon? Because it's a fact, rainforest soils are poor. It's one of the reasons these soybean farms are a really stupid idea, because once you clear the rainforest, the land is largely unfertile and you can't grow stuff on it for very long. So how did they feed all these people? The answer was they invented a soil. And that soil has a name. It's called terra preta. Archaeologists refer to it as Amazonian dark earths or Amazonian black earth. It's a man-made soil. It's thousands of years old. It's full of microbes that are not found in adjoining soil. It's based around biochar. And you can take a handful of 8,000-year-old terra preta and you can add it to barren soil, and that soil will instantly become fertile. It's highly sought after in the Amazon, and it explains how they fed these people. There was science in the Amazon.
How did they create?
So we found this documentary from the well-known, reputable source of the History Channel, in which they're talking about shamans. So if we were originally going to talk about who a shaman is and whatnot, but we thought it would be kind of cool to include the History Channel in this presentation so that you can get a reputable source of information for where you're getting your source from. It's not just me, who I can potentially be someone new to you, but you're getting it from here, from the History Channel. So let's check out what they have to say about who a shaman is.
In Mongolian culture, certain members of the tribe were thought to have the ability to communicate directly with the gods, accessing seemingly supernatural powers and information. These holy prophets were commonly known as shamans. Is it possible that Genghis Khan, one of the greatest conquerors in human history, used his connection with the divine to build the massive Mongol Empire? And if so, just what does it mean to be a shaman? For thousands of years, in cultures throughout the world, shamans have been described as intermediaries who provide a link between humans and other worldly beings. Known in some cultures as medicine men or witch doctors, they are believed to have the power to travel to other realms in order to bring back healing, wisdom, and guidance to their people. The word shaman originated with the indigenous people of Siberia and means simply to know.
Shamans think of the universe as being constructed in different layers, one on top of each other, each one containing a separate world. One of the skills of the shaman is to be able to travel herself or himself between these different worlds in spirit form.
Shamans are people who enter those realms and negotiate with the intelligent beings that inhabit those realms.
But are shamans simply experiencing hallucinations, daydreams manifested in their minds? Or is it possible that their visions are real? Dismissed by some today as madmen or charlatans, in the ancient world, shamans like Genghis Khan often held positions of great influence. And ancient astronaut theorists claim the stories of these shamans reveal a connection to otherworldly beings.
The Amazonian brew known as yahe or ayahuasca is shared primarily in the Amazonian regions of Colombia, Brazil, Ecuador, and Peru. In Colombia, it is shared by the following indigenous tribes. In Peru, ayahuasca is primarily shared by this tribe. Whereas in Brazil, the brew is known as Mariri, Vegetal, or Santo Daime, and it is shared by these tribes. In this world of ayahuasca, the sacred ritualistic practices go hand in hand with that of the therapeutic properties found in the beverage. Ayahuasca is considered a sacred brew, as it is conceived as a means to access the divine or the invisible world. The practices of the brew are said to come from 1,000-year-old indigenous practices. It is seen as an ancestral heritage, which evokes a certain pride to those that share the brew with others, often known as shamans, daitas, or facilitators. Healing is said to be obtained through the consumption of the brew, and those that follow this path consider the brew as a sacred medicine. In fact, within the countryside, ayahuasca is commonly known as the remedy, for it reveals afflictions, both physical and emotional, or invisible, which might be affecting the patient, which is how the facilitators commonly call those that come to drink the brew. The followers of the practice see it as an alternative source of health. It is considered to be a therapeutic practice based on the regular decontamination of the body, mind, and spirit. It is thus an exercise in cleansing, in a broad sense of the term that includes different dimensions, where through the consumption of the psychotropic brew, the disease is swept away, suffering is relieved, and ultimate health is achieved. Okay, now let me tell you a little bit about myself. In my own journey, I've had over, by now, a decade's worth of experience with ayahuasca in different ceremonies, in different contexts, in different parts of the world. And yes, I have gone to the Amazons and have shared over there as well. I have helped to cook the remedy. I have helped to facilitate in some aspects as well. And by no means am I saying or proclaiming myself as a facilitator. I'm saying that I've had plenty of experience with the subject. I'm not just someone who went in for one night and all of a sudden became enlightened about the process. As a matter of fact, I had a huge conflict internally if I wanted to post this video or not, but I feel very much compelled to talk a little bit about this subject for a few months at this point. As you can see in all of these images, I have shared with numerous amounts of people in different places and different groups of people and people as you might have around you. At the end of the day, it's an individual path. It's an individual journey. So even this video, please take it with a grain of salt, because I'm not here to influence you in any which way. I'm just here to share a few points of observation because I feel like it's important, it is necessary, and it is my way of being a responsible member of my community by sharing this video with you. Because after all, I know very few people who have had the backstage story similar to mine. So with it becoming so popular nowadays, and with psychedelics booming into different sort of therapeutic industries nowadays, I feel like it is important to understand the intricacies of what happens when you participate in ayahuasca and what that entails and what that looks like. So the History Channel was nice enough to actually talk a little bit about the cooking of ayahuasca. Let's pay a close attention to what they have to say here.
Ayahuasca, meaning the vine of the souls, is a psychedelic brew consisting of 2 different types of plants cooked with water.
And this is drunk by the shaman, but in order to enter the spirit world, to gain information about diseases, to foresee the future, to carry out a healing for somebody. We know some of the history of ayahuasca because archaeologists have found artifacts from the rainforest which date back 3,500 or 4,000 years, but those are only the surviving artifacts that they've found. Potentially, this could go back to the beginning of time.
Ayahuasca contains dimethyltryptamine, or DMT, one of the most powerful hallucinogens known to man. But strangely, this chemical compound only works when consumed under precise conditions.
Ingest DMT, it's inactivated in the intestine by certain enzymes. So in order to get the DMT to be activated and to be able to be absorbed, they had to combine it with other plants.
Ayahuasca contains a mixture of 2 plants. There's actually quite subtle months goes into the preparation, because these two things on separately will not work. You have to mix them together, and let's not forget that there's 150,000 different species of plants and trees in the Amazon. It's really quite an amazing achievement of ancient chemistry to bring these two plants together to produce a highly psychoactive visionary brew.
By the way, thank you so much, you guys, for being in the video until now. As a big thank you, we have linked in the description below a little booklet for you. This booklet is our appreciation for your view of the day, and that way you can take home and share with other members of your community, of your loved ones, your circle. Holistic approaches, holistic tips that we highly recommend if you're dealing with, at any point, any stress, depression, any sort of imbalance in your mental and emotional health. Please feel free to take a look at that package that we've done with much love for all of you. There are certain expectations that are placed on shamans, that are placed on ayahuasca, right? And because I'm me myself trying to express to you what cooking it is like, and what it is, it's really hard to put into words, but it's an energetic brew, and it's crazy to see so much contrast, because on one hand it's so technologically mind-blowing, but at the other hand it's so primitive for them, right? So the shamans, as we've known them to be throughout history, as here the documentary they're sharing, they were looked upon, they were respected and highly, people looked up to them, right? They were the doctors of the community, they were the leaders of the community, but eventually, guess what? Accountability and responsibility stopped occurring within the communities. So they started performing acts of incest, they started performing acts of abuse, they started performing all of these, addictions such as alcohol took in the communities as well, and people are not talking about that. And what you have today is a very sick society all around. And not to sound pessimistic, on the contrary, we are sharing this because we are aware that there is an unfortunate situation happening, and it's been happening for many years now, where singers of the ayahuasca community have become facilitators, because there is a relationship between sound and the healing aspects under that state that takes place. And there is a meditation as well that occurs for the musicians in and of itself. It's kind of like when you see Buddhist monks doing chants, when they're chanting, and you see this throughout different religions all around the world. The Jewish do it as well. Everyone does it with the chants and with the vibration of sound. And this is as ancient as, ancient Egyptian civilization, and even before then, things that we have no idea. So that is why there is a level of respect and mystery that surrounds it, because sound during the practice of ayahuasca is very much interconnected with it. And sound helps you achieve and that level of connection, and it breaks energetic barriers of sorts that have been placed by your own cognitive psychological makeup. Now, the reason why cooking of ayahuasca is very important, because nowadays people can just buy it online and you have no idea where it's coming from. That sort of disconnect is very disrespectful, even for yourself, honestly, because it can really mess up your life. You might not even be aware of all the things that you're putting yourself at risk for by doing something like that. So it's very delicate. And right now I feel like our world is just so chaotic and people are hardly listening to, if you listen to something that you don't like, you just shut it off and you look for something that you like. Like, that's how obsessed our ego is to be right in today's culture. And it's so important to just take accountability, put your head down, look at yourself, and have moments of introspection, of understanding how things have gone so wrong, and gain some sort of accountability for that and improve upon things. So that's why I'm making this video, and that's why we as a studio decided to make this video, because it is important to gain that accountability back into the facilitators. It is important for you to be a responsible individual. It is important for you to truly understand that you are impacting however it is that you're impacting the people around you. So if you need a moment to yourself, to come back to yourself, stop. As a matter of fact, here in our studio, rather than encourage people to go do ayahuasca, for instance, we encourage people to go do your regular professional psychological evaluation with a professional psychologist. But at the end of the day, you have to come back to your life. And some people get caught in the web of, I want to do this every weekend. And a lot of people get caught up in the web of, this is who I am. I'm finding my new tribe. This is my tribe. Guess what? There is no tribe. It is just you. Everyone is going through their own individual journey. And as much as you want to project it into a tribe, no, at the end of the day, it's just you, buddy. And I'm seriously coming from a really genuine point to tell you this, because it's so much easier to go with the flow and just say, yes, we're one tribe and we're one love and come join us and all of this shit. And at the end of the day, you just get to hear about crazy things that happen in places like Costa Rica because people are, going in as this big community to this one particular event. And why? If you're a spiritually inclined individual, you know that the path is an individual one. Some ayahuasca facilitators are coming at it from a religious standpoint, and that might be controversial to some people. Some people are looking at it from just a therapy perspective, scientific perspective more so. So they're discouraged. It is a cultural thing. And the thing is that many of the facilitator shamans that you may find in like Mexico or wherever in the world they're sharing, they have a backstory that you have no idea. And this is not just something to be taken lightly. This is not just, someone that you're going to go spend, one night with and be gone. And no, that has an effect in your life, a deep effect in your life. And that person might have done things that you have no idea that they've done, So with psychology and the help of certain components, adding certain components, supplements in your life, you're going to start seeing a huge impact, a positive impact. And this is more than likely a sustainable approach versus going into the whole psychedelic world. Now, we do appreciate the groups of individuals such as Mind Army, that they're promoting the right to pursue happiness. We absolutely love that. We absolutely support. And that sense of engagement is something that is behind the likes of why we're posting this video as well, because we have seen and we keep hearing news about these horrible stories that are happening to facilitators, not only of ayahuasca. You know, there's other things out there. There's people smoking DMT, there's people taking mushrooms, there's people doing all sorts of crazy things in this world to try to understand themselves. And it's not coming from it from a judgmental point of view. No, it's just saying, hey, if you've screwed up or if something around your environment is off, stop. Reassess yourself and understand what's happening. Ask yourself what's going on. You know, the only people who say that there's nothing wrong with them psychologically, who those people are? They're called narcissists. And if you think there's nothing wrong with you, odds are you're probably one of them. So it's good to bow your head down and understand that for all the mysteries this world holds, we're but a speck in the macrocosm of things. And it's okay that we don't have all the answers, and it's okay that we're learning through the process, and it's okay to have compassion towards ourselves. It's okay to love ourselves. It's okay to let go of people who are no longer aligned with our path. And it is absolutely okay to seek for professional help. We believe it is important for individuals to have a right to question their path in life and reflect on the experiences occurring in the world around them. Many facilitators make it a business to have their so-called patients constantly coming back for more. And at that point, we encourage you to ask yourself, what are you truly seeking? Although many facilitators or shamans typically complain of the so-called big pharma industry, they themselves are doing the same exact thing by making a business of tending to the sick. Although we might pursue a path with a sincere, curious, hopeful, and bewildered spirit, we might fall prey to others with not so innocent intentions. The vulnerability of becoming a victim or being betrayed in the world of ayahuasca is not something you typically hear people talking about, yet we feel a need to talk about it because too many people are being taken advantage of by the irresponsibility and lack of integrity of those that share it with the world. If this video reached you, please consider that we say this with a heavy heart, for we too have seen firsthand the effects of such betrayal by facilitators, shamans, or whatever title or label other fellow humans choose to identify themselves as. This is why we have included the final part of the video as a point of contemplation into how deep of a corruption can be found in the use of psychedelics and why these practices are a delicate subject.
Central Intelligence Agency has been accused of manipulating citizens of countries all over the world, including Canada. At the moment, a number of Canadians are considering suing the CIA. They believe they are victims of covered CIA experiments. Tonight, two Canadians who feel the past 20 years of their lives were damaged by the CIA tell their stories publicly for the first time. They believe they were part of a CIA project called MK Ultra, a research project so secret that even the Canadian government was not informed that the agency was funding activities in this country. The CIA was seeking a new weapon aimed not at the body, but at the mind. Americans became obsessed with brainwashing during the Korean War. Prisoners of war returned home denouncing the American way of life. Hearing them parroting propaganda, the CIA became convinced the communists had found the key to brainwashing. Now the Americans had to unlock the mystery of mind control. Even in the Cold War years of the late 50s and early 60s, most doctors and academics would have been embarrassed to have found that an organization of spies was openly paying for their research. So the CIA set up a number of fronts, respectable foundations like the Human Ecology Fund. Sounds innocent enough, but it was run by the CIA's brainwashing experts. Here at McGill University in Montreal, the fund found 3 projects worth financing. They supported an extensive study of witch doctors in Nigeria. How, investigators wondered, did native healers cure mental illness? What mysterious drugs and potions did they use?
Device used to bind up excited patients. A sleeping potion is then administered.
20 years ago, the Human Ecology Fund paid for this movie.
This soothes the patient's head.
But it was only recently that the man who made the film found out that he had been working with the CIA's money. The author of the Nigerian study is still at McGill University. News of his connection to the CIA came as quite a surprise to Dr. Raymond Prince.
I couldn't imagine why the CIA would be interested in my work in looking at indigenous healers in West Africa. That seemed really strange. That was my first reaction, and I couldn't believe that, I couldn't understand how the CIA would be interested in that.
Because there were all kinds of beliefs that African witch doctors could put the hex on people. But anybody who makes a systematic study of what are the psychological factors that can produce anything from having a person run amok in Indonesia or die of the sickness from a witch doctor in Africa would certainly add to all of the knowledge that we were being able to accumulate about behavioral science techniques.
The Human Ecology Fund also helped set up the Transcultural Psychiatric Research Review. Edited at McGill, the journal continues to publish without CIA support. The largest MK Ultra research project, this one directly related to brainwashing, was carried out at the University's Psychiatric Hospital, the Allen Memorial Institute. Located atop Mount Royal in a mansion with the eerie name of Ravenscrag, the Allen Memorial was once the most prestigious mental hospital in Canada. The unorthodox treatments of its director caught the attention of the CIA in the mid-50s. Dr. Ewan Cameron, the first director of the Allen Memorial, ran the institute with an iron hand for 20 years. But Dr. Cameron remained an American citizen and left the Allen abruptly in 1964. He returned to the United States, where he died in 1967. An energetic, enigmatic man, Cameron was an internationally honored and respected psychiatrist, but he was not universally liked. Former colleague Dr. Elliot Emanuel.
He was an authoritarian, ruthless, power-hungry, nervous, tense, angry man. Not very nice.
Documents recently released by the CIA reveal what research Cameron proposed. To make patients receptive to repetitive messages, Cameron suggested using chemical agents to break down ongoing patterns of behavior. Chemical agents like LSD.
It is interesting to point out that LSD and DMT, which is found in ayahuasca, are both strong psychedelic drugs that can alter a person's perception. They have the same chemical structure, which is similar to the neurotransmitter serotonin. Serotonin plays a key role in such body functions as mood, sleep, digestion, nausea, wound healing, bone health, blood clotting, and sexual desire. We point this out because if it is known that such an important government office, such as the CIA, ran secret tests to administer LSD with the hopes to develop some sort of mind control effect, then that makes anyone exposed to DMT or ayahuasca susceptible and vulnerable to manipulation by the facilitator. We encourage you to look into MK Ultra a bit more if any of this sounds particularly interesting to you. Just like many patients that survived MK Ultra, many ayahuasca practitioners have life-transforming dependencies on the brew or on wanting to engage with life in what they consider to be a more profound experience, yet the majority fail to find the psychological support they required for conflict resolution with major life stressors in their daily life. We put to question the facilitators and the so-called psychiatric doctors that have been entrusted with such psychedelics. Because of the vulnerability of the practice and the unfortunate human error or deception, greed, fame, and recognition that is encountered, it is hard for us to say that this is a safe path to take. Humans fall vulnerable to the money, sex, and power. And let's face it, people take advantage of others even without the use of drugs. Now, can you imagine how intense it could get if powerful drugs, such as these ones mentioned, fall in the wrong hands? This is why we feel the urge to share this video. History has shown us that we can rise above our faults, but let us not forget those that once fought for our right to pursue happiness in today's world.